So yeah, well, I have graduated from the point of sticking only to myself and my world, because when you are healing, or when I'm healing, I have to stay within my circle of people until I am strong enough to now bring more of the points of J Juice out, but not just the points of J Juice, because J Juice is easy. I mean, you do the protocol, it's all in the book. How many times can I go over all of the components of the protocol? No, now we have to understand how the J Juice fits in the bigger picture, and then how all these different issues from the lack of J Juice fits in the bigger picture. And you see all of the politics and all the activism is a substantiation for both of my points. Okay. And so I have to go from the micro, which is exploring what causes death in our society and what causes life in our society, and then do more exploring, like an upside down pyramid, or an upside down pyramid. And so you go from the micro then all the way to the macro, where you can see how everything fits in the bigger picture. So there's small picture things that we had to discover with the J Juice in the beginning, and then we see how it actually translates into the bigger picture, which many people have a hard time with at this point, because they're still very small picture. And the only way you can get to a bigger picture is if you do J Juice. And that's where I'm finding the conflict, is that people who say they're doing the J Juice are not doing the J Juice, and they are just confirming what I already know. And I'm not going to pick specific sides of a political system or a political argument, okay, simply because I may share certain characteristics that may seem like it's aligning myself with one party or the other. But no, every political party has something that I could agree with and align myself with, but not everything in the conservative or the liberal side. I'm not going to buy into each side 100%. Every single argument out there, conspiracy, Democrat, Republican, conservative, liberal, all of that, all have something to offer. Okay. So what's the bottom line here? The bottom line is that we are reproducing on bodies that are highly traumatized, thus creating sociopathic children who then turn into very manipulative sociopathic adults, who then hide behind their politics and their activism to justify their committing crimes, as well as abusing or being a victim. Okay, that's what the bottom line is. And then the other part of the bottom line is that we are applying the wrong protocols to deal with cancer, disease, and chronic illness. So we turn into hypocrites no matter what. I want to live, but I'm going to apply the wrong protocol to my body, so that way I will die anyways. I mean, that's exactly what our society is. It's about hypocrisy. I'm against R. Kelly and Jeffrey Epstein, but I'm okay with exploiting a girl named Greta Thunberg to emotionally throw up, having somebody exploit her neurological condition so she comes off even more intense, to then reach those that have kindred spirits just like her, and then people start separating their money from their wallets, and that's kind of how the world works. Okay, so hypocrisy is everywhere, and I have to point it out. And I also constantly have to keep holding myself accountable, because it's very easy to become hypocritical in our society, because there's so many different things in different contexts that would say one thing and do another, but we all would feel justified relative to our belief system. And so I constantly have to keep checking myself, as well as constantly making sure you guys are held accountable on this J Juice, because, when somebody tells me, oh yeah, I'm doing J Juice, but I'm still anti-vax, I'm still, doing all this activism stuff, and they haven't been following me, it's like, okay, right there is a complete hypocrisy, because if you have been following me, you would take yourself out of the war. Okay, that's the thing. That's the whole point of why I am very hard. I vet people out, and even when I vet somebody out, they don't always rise up to my expectation. or to the occasion, but I will still give them the benefit of the doubt. Now, I know it's going to take a few of you, actually all of you, a few years to exhibit well-balanced characteristics. And I'm not looking for everybody to prove to me that they're doing the J-juice and they're giving to everybody. No, but I want to make sure that you're not putting, or you're not, well, there's no one making sure. I just want to let you know that I'm watching y'all, especially if you're influencers and you're all rah, 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 sis, boom, bob, yeah, yeah, J, chili juice, but yet you are promoting something different. So, whatever, but I just, I like people to know that I do watch them because I do care. And yeah, I mean, I feel that it's my duty that if I'm going to put a protocol out there, that I follow up with it with people to, 100%, not just like half-assed. Okay. So yeah, I was doing research on the whole thing with reproduction, which is one of the main platforms that I am been focusing on, because we're seeing our population getting weaker and weaker. And all of this climate change stuff, and people saying that there's climate change, people saying there's not. And, that actually is an indicator of when someone believes there's climate change and another believes that there isn't. It then speaks to the different biochemistries based upon their perception of their environment and then what they believe. So when you look at an article by scientists, as well as anyone else that has a belief system, there may be substantiations that the polar ice caps are melting. I don't know. I'm not there. So the only thing I can take from is from the articles and the scientists that say that they are credible, that I should believe. But then we also live in a universe that is always changing. So then it comes down to, so who cares if the climate changes? Now it comes down to who's responsible. Well, then it speaks to the same argument. Who's God? Okay. Is it Buddha? Is it Allah? Is it, Yahweh? I mean, it's like everybody is now going to find their God, their reasoning of why it is the climate is, they perceive the climate changing, or why it is the polar ice caps are melting, and it becomes another cluster F. And then you have different politicians who are very mutated, I'll say mutated, very imbalanced, pushing their own agenda through the lens of their own imbalances, and then finding like-minded people who will then reinforce their belief systems. Okay? And you can have large groups of people that believe that the climate is changing. Okay? Because there's a lot of biochemistries that are kindred spirits that will believe in something. Doesn't mean that it's true. It just means that they keep reinforcing each other's imbalances. Okay. And then you have another segment of the population that thinks it's all about money, which it could be about money too. I mean, it could potentially be climate change, and it could be about money. It could be the human footprint. But there's like so many different reasons that would contribute to why it is we're seeing people react in a specific way. And that's why J-juice is something that needs to be talked about, but then juxtaposition against what goes on in our society, so we can see the lack of J-juice, what is going on. And then you can see people who are on J-juice that finally take themselves out of the war. So you're seeing two different ways of relating to all of these politics. And then I'm going to point out, as far as the hypocrisy, when it comes to exploitation of children, especially those that claim that they are child advocates. And so then it goes back to then, how are we creating how are these sociopaths and these corrupt politicians, said people, how do they come into power? Well, I was looking up reproduction. I was looking up people are, cell splitting, reproduction. And that's right. Let me read this, what I wrote, because I wrote it at the end. When I'm conversing back and forth with people on my Facebook, they give me ideas because I bounce off of their energy. They bounce off my energy. I'm sure I give them ideas. They give me ideas. It's a very symbiotic relationship with my group, because I have so many different types of people, even with 300 people in the group, and then also 6,000 people on my Facebook, and then all the different trolls and all their stuff. And so I really get a lot of ideas just from bouncing, words back and forth. So one of the things I said is reproduction. That's right. The reason why I said is reproduction is harder on a woman and a baby is because when people have sex, it is trauma to the body. So not just sexual abuse, but just having regular normal sex with anybody, whoever it is trauma to the body. And so when someone wanted to mention about where cancer also is prevalent is in the sexual abuse and sexual abuse industry, I guess. And I'm like, it's not just sexual abuse, it's also regular sex, because there are some people that, not even in the porn industry, but just have a regular relationship and they have a hardcore sex life. They also end up having a major weakness in their reproductive area because of the amount of trauma they sustained every day. If they're doing it every single day, that's trauma to the body every single day. Well, then I'm like, oh wait, that's different than reproduction. Reproduction is hard on the woman and the baby. It's a cell-splitting process because eggs are being created, especially if the body is going on a death trajectory. Okay, and so when actually eggs are grown, I don't know, I haven't done that research as far as in a child when eggs are grown, but eggs are dropping at some point when menstruation happens, and that's triggered by the body seeing that it's in some kind of aggressive environment that potentially extinction could occur, so it needs to drop eggs. And then if those eggs get fertilized, then that's when that egg then leaches all the minerals, and not all, but a lot of the minerals and the nutrients of that host, which is the mother's body. And if that mother has already sustained weaknesses, it's just going to make her pregnancy that much more painful because the body's trying to heal from this baby sucking the life out of it. And then this is where gestational diabetes, autoimmune disorders kick in, potentially even cancer. And this is where, and then I'm like, oh, the cell splitting process is one of those hard things, because if a human is 100% well with no issues, the body wouldn't need to reproduce. And that's one of my arguments as far as reproduction. But however, we have so many people with trauma in their past, present, and future, and they're having babies, and they're going through sex and then reproduction. That is trauma to the body. Having babies is traumatic to the body. How many mothers out there had to really work hard to getting their health back as well as getting their body back after a few babies? Some mothers are young enough with great genes that they bounce back like that. Those are the lucky ones. Others, not so lucky. Some people have high-risk pregnancies because of the amount of weaknesses in their body. So then I read about cell splitting process issues. So I actually Googled this, cell splitting process issues. During mitosis, a cell duplicates all of its contents, including its chromosomes, and splits to form two identical daughter cells. Because this process is so critical, the steps of mitosis are carefully controlled by a number of genes. Okay, so that's basically cloning. When you are reproducing, you are cloning a child after the husband and the mother. Okay, and there's a lot of room for issues if both of them have a very interesting background, as well as generationally, and everybody has. So when mitosis is not regulated correctly, health problems such as cancer can result. And it's not just cancer. It's cancer, disease, chronic illness, mental illness, sociopathic, psychopathic, what else? Autoimmune disorders, weaknesses in everything. I mean, every single time you reproduce, it takes more from you, and then that child then gets less of what it needs, and then you're seeing the different personalities of your children, and some have more of an aggressive personality than others because of the gene distribution. So anyway, so then I'm like, oh, and I'm watching all these different crime shows and all this stuff, and let me read this. And I'm thinking, I'm equating the human population to the mechanisms of the body, because really we are all representative of certain jobs of the body, or what mostly our bodies are being controlled by of, because there are specific job descriptions of every single cell in your body and organ and system. So I'm thinking like, okay, when we are reproducing on bodies with trauma, and then someone is diagnosed with Asperger's or autism or anything like that, I'm thinking like, antibodies. You know what antibodies are? Antibodies, they go after excess or foreign objects that potentially could do harm to the body. Okay? So, and this is where I equated the predator and prey, because there's predators in our society and there are prey in our society. And then there are predators who are also prey, who have a skewed way of looking at what is a predator, okay, and then want to go take somebody out because of their perception. And that's like an autoimmune disorder when you have so many antibodies that attack good cell tissues, okay? So I look at sociopaths as a type of antibodies, okay? And as well as psychopaths. And then I see also when not only do they take out weak people, but they also take out good people out there. And that's why you see all these different assassinations and whatever, because you have people who have an overabundance of antibodies and glitches, and they're acting like some of the biochemistry in their body in the real world, which I know is very abstract, and I'm sure it went over a lot of people's heads right now, but this is how I'm viewing our society, because I'm looking at the Georgia Guidestones like, holy crap, they freaking knew what was wrong. Somebody already figured out that reproduction is causing all of these glitches. Okay? And so right now everyone's in an uproar with the whole climate activism, and they're so worried about them applying this tax and the 5G and the chemtrails and the Monsanto and whatever else. But really those that are reacting are actually falling into the trap of those that know that Mother Earth is going to do a reset. It's not George Soros doing this stuff. Yes, he's just acting in concert with whatever biochemistry is running him, and then his place on this earth to then figure out what his duty to then get rid of all the cancerous things. And so when people react to all of this activism, now I'm pointing out, okay, that we are exploiting children, especially for those. I mean, I could probably sit back and say, I'm not even mention anything about child exploitation, about all this stuff. But I think people should, people need to know that that anytime you react to anything political, which I need to say to myself too, that yeah, you are contributing to the imbalance. However, what is the solution do you have? And then of course everyone's solution is this and that. And so, there is that, how do you balance out not falling into the back and forth, but drop the seeds and then move on. And so right now, the last couple of days, I've been reacting to some of these news articles and things that are going on in the media, but more to point out the hypocrisy, okay? And more to point out that we are creating sociopaths in our society and bullies in our society, and activism does contribute to that. And what are these characteristics of sociopaths? And activists do fall into that, and that when we then take a child who already has a neurological disorder and then apply these activist type of behaviors or encourage these type of behaviors, then this is why we create the reason why we have activism to begin with. And that's, I mean, I don't love, well, I do like it. I do like pointing these things. I do like pointing out hypocrisy in our society. I really do. Because I've been psychoanalyzed. I've had people who say they're all this and they're all that, and then a lot of people say that they are an advocate for children or advocate for this, but yet they are exploiting their own children. I have people that say they're so healthy, and then you find out, no, they're not. And so, you know, I'm just so tired of the hypocrisy. I really am. And there has to become a point to where if we're going to say we want to live, that we don't die. I mean, that's the most basic, let's stop being hypocritical that you can get. Forget the thing with child exploitation and the climate activists and all that. Just saying, hey, if you want to live, then you apply the right things to live. If you say you want to save humanity, then give them something that's going to give them a potential to reverse all their conditions and have a very long, indefinite life. And that's really what it comes down to. But I also do notice the other hypocrisies in our society, such as all these different activist stuff, when it comes to one side or the other. And that's why I got away from all that. But I can't help but point it out. But really what it comes down to is that, do you want to live or do you want to die? That's what it comes down to. Okay? And everything else is just noise. But I have to point out that that noise is indicative of the same hypocritical platforms that those in California who are activists, who claim to be child advocates, who are rah cis-boon buying this girl who is not emotionally aware of what the hell is going on. And then they're gonna mold her into some psychopathic adult or sociopathic adult who could potentially do more harm, but then maybe she is the weapon to decimate those that are weak. So I'm looking at it from all points of view that, yes, if you were going to fall into this activism for and against the climate stuff and all this other crap, you're falling into that manipulation. And then, yes, you're going to take yourself out of existence from 7 billion to 500 million. And yes, the New World Order, the Georgia Guidestones, is going to be a reality for you. That's really the bottom line, is that those that are on either side, those that say, oh, I don't watch TV, but I will still be like, oh yeah, George Soros and all this stuff. And those that are like, oh yeah, you know, they're destroying the environment, so we need to have a girl like that. Okay, fine. But what are you doing to prolong your life and your kid's life and the people around you? Oh, you're not. So you're probably, and people who are very like, you know, into the mainstream politics, especially in eco-terrorism or eco-activism, are probably not aware of the Georgia Guidestones. So that's probably way over their head. So they will be the ones that will probably fall for all of the stuff. And then, yeah, the genetic line will be gone. I mean, I don't know if the next 5 years is going to then go from 300 million in America to 100 million, as they have predicted on the Daigle report, as well as other predictions and other reports. But right now we're seeing huge indicators. And mainstreaming Asperger's and autism as a superpower does speak to maybe that is the Depop agenda, I'm thinking. And then people are like, oh my God, you're trying to tax us. Oh my God, you know, we need to have these, we need to promote and accept all of these weaknesses in our society, these neurological imbalances, all the counters. We need to just embrace it all and be okay with it. And then, yes, it'll go from 7 billion to 500 million. So you know what? That's why I'm saying, you guys, no matter which way you stand on each of these issues, you're going to fall into all of the Depop agenda, regardless of which agenda, regardless if you even believe it, okay? You're going to fall for it. So people do the J juice, they take themselves out of that and they're not taken for against. They're willing to say to somebody, hey, your conspiracy stuff regarding George Soros just makes you look like a whacked out conspiracy theorist. And it doesn't help your cause. Oh, and hey, you eco activist that loves the fact that this 16-year-old is being exploited. You don't like R. Kelly and Jeffrey Epstein, sexually molesting these girls, but yet you don't mind the rape of this woman's or this girl's mind and being then paraded out for all the predators, exploited for political gain and somebody else's financial agenda. Okay. And so I don't mind showing the hypocrite, the hypocrisies on each side. And so yeah, because either way it comes down, you've got to pay attention to your body. You really do. And so I have to mention it, because yeah, no matter what, if you're in activism, you're not taking care of yourself. People only have so much energy they can dole out. And if all your energy is going towards a cause out there and not to yourself, then yeah, you will fall into the depopulation agenda. You've got to learn how to bring the energy back to yourself. You've got to learn how to take and harness the elements to repair the generational weaknesses. And, activists are an indicator of imbalances in our society because of the perceived threat and then the unwillingness to really look at why it is that threat is there to begin with. And like, I guess Michael Jackson said, if you want to change the world, look in the mirror, but that people don't really get that. So yeah, so you know what? The depopulation agenda is real. And for you to survive this next evolution, you got to get out of the war, or you're not going to survive it. I mean, that's what it comes down to. And so that's why I get so disappointed in people that are still part of the anti-vax campaigns. I mean, when someone goes on trolls on my page and then somebody that's in the Julia Jews group are liking a troll's comments about anti-vax stuff, I'm deleting them too. If you still hold activist points of view, fine, but I don't need to see it on my page. So no matter what, I don't know. Let's look at real quick what sociopathics are. I mean, I did post the characteristics, and but I got to mention this because some of you don't have a lot of minerals, and you really need to put your attention and your minerals to your body for healing, because you only have so much. Okay? You really need to learn how to balance out and give yourself what you deserve. People will survive without you for however long you need to heal. Oh, what did I? Oh, here we go. Traits of a high-functioning sociopath. So these are the leaders, okay, in our society, and this is because we're reproducing children on traumatized bodies. So we are creating the sociopaths in our society, and then we're mainstreaming it. Instead of doing the J juice and saying, okay, we don't need to be afraid, but let's change ourselves. No, people are so like pissed off because they have not gotten control of their emotions, or they're so hypocritical. So traits of a sociopathic personality is high IQ. High functioning sociopaths often have a higher IQ than other sociopaths or people with personality disorders. This helps them plan, manipulate, and exploit others. Okay, so Greta Thunberg is getting a good training of how to exploit, because she's being exploited, and she'll learn how to exploit other people as she gets older. Just watch her. Lack of empathy. Difficulty in empathizing with others or understanding the emotional consequence of their actions. Narcissism. They often have a strong self-love and grandiose self-image. This occurs because of low self-esteem and delusional beliefs. Okay. Charming. Although most sociopaths lack empathy, they are capable of mimicking and manipulating emotions to appear charming and normal. Secretive. A sociopath doesn't feel the need to share intimate details with others unless it is to manipulate. Now, I've been around sociopathic people. That's how I recognize a lot of these characteristics, because I've been around people that are like this. And this is probably why I am who I am, because I've been around them my whole life. Secretive, charming, narcissistic, lack of empathy. Holy crap. Sensitive to criticism. Despite their lack of empathy, sociopaths desire the approval of others. They feel entitled to admiration and are quick to anger when criticized. Now, yeah, I know early on in the JJ's protocol, when I'm healing my emotional PTSD, absolutely, I was definitely exhibiting this characteristic. Impulsive behavior. Sociopaths often live in the moment and will do what they feel is needed to reach their immediate goals. Compulsive lying, disregarding the truth to make themselves look better or get what they want. Needing constant stimulation. Sociopaths often get bored easily and need to be actively engaged. There are people in our society that they can't even stay at home. They have to always go out every Friday night or every weekend, or have to have somebody by their side all the time. They can't be alone. They can't just sit on the couch and watch TV or just look at the wall and just think. They have to be so productive all the time. Holy crap. Addictive behavior. Their compulsive mindset may result in addiction to drugs, alcohol, sex, gambling, or other addictive behaviors. Criminal behavior. Criminal activity associated with sociopaths could include theft, assault, or destruction of property. And so the risk factors include family history of antisocial personality disorders or other mental illnesses, diagnosis of a childhood conduct disorder, exposure to trauma, abuse, or neglect during childhood, unstable or violent family life during formative years. And so and there's a lot of characteristics. But yeah, so you're seeing that every single time we reproduce on bodies that are traumatized, we have only children as well as children with, you know, amongst like 4 or 5 kids exhibit these characteristics, especially these activists. If you're an activist, you are exhibiting these characteristics. I've had activists justify why they went and pirated my book and put it out there on the internet. They will justify breaking the law. Activists that will spoof phone calls and do all that kind of stuff to try to harass or traumatize their victims. Oh yeah, we are creating these sociopaths due to reproducing on bodies that are highly traumatized. And this is why the Georgia Guidestones, for those of you that don't know the Georgia Guidestones, Google it. Because somebody knew the state of our society. They studied every single generation, and they saw how each generation is getting weaker and weaker with more issues going on. Even though, yes, we are advancing technologically, because we're making use of the brains that are alive at the time during their well-balanced years. But eventually, well-balanced people who are aging, applying the wrong protocols to their body, are going to go on the degradation. And there's a whole, you know, segment of society and agencies and everything that supports those that are degrading in our society, okay? And those that are developing in our society will make plenty of mistakes, cause so much ruckus in our society. And we're seeing that with kids in school. Those, what you're seeing, what's going on in the playground today, are indicators of reproduction not being guided correctly, okay? And so now we're seeing the activism, the people who are justifying their bad behavior due to their belief system and their political cause and their whatever, it's really a reflection of the internal chaos. And so, you know, I mean, and that was me too. The reason why I know this so well, because I was an activist. I was part of the California politics. I was pro-abortion. And then I'm thinking like, you know what? The whole feminism thing, feminism is another political way to politicize, you know, stuff and whatever. And yes, women were, you know, were second-class citizens at a certain point. But there's a reason why men were the ones that went out and did the jobs and did the work and all that, because they had more minerals reserves to be able to go for 8 hours and make the money, make the bread, bring it home. The woman is reproducing, having children, because that was what's expected. And of course, she's weaker. Okay, women are physically weaker. And then when we have children, it makes us even weaker. So yes, now our society has now gone away from that type of model, but women are still weaker in our society, and we keep trying to reproduce and try to have a full-time job. And so then, yes, and we hire, you know, nannies and servants if you have enough money. And so, you know, reproduction is so hard on the body, and then you're seeing the cancer. Because if the mitosis, the splitting of the cells, isn't guided correctly and watched, and then how this child is being written, no, I mean, this is why we have so much cancer and glitching and all this stuff. Because, so at some point, Mother Nature is going to keep the balance. And the activists in our society are an exemplification of the weak population that's going to succumb to the aggressive message that is going to come out no matter what. And there's not going to be enough vaccines or medical procedures to be able to save you from this aggressive message. And we don't know what it is. We're getting indicators what they are, because we're seeing the bacteria and the viruses are becoming more strong, but I don't think they're becoming more strong. The people are becoming weaker, and you're applying the wrong protocols to the body. Guess what? You're going to be susceptible to that bacteria that's been there in your lake for years. We have kids that are dying in lakes over here in Ohio. We have horses and people dying from mosquito bites in Ohio, as well as Michigan and all over the US. And so the reason why the messages are becoming stronger is because the people are becoming weaker. And then when you're an activist, you become weaker and weaker and weaker. And then when you watch everyone just flip out on each other, oh yeah, that depletes your minerals. And so, you know, if you're going to be an activist, it better be a way to unify everybody and then tell them how to remineralize their body in a way that is actually correct, that is aligned with the biochemistry. Not doing detoxes, not doing hot yoga, not doing the diet makes earth, pills, powder supplements, all that shit. If you truly want to help humans and say, oh yeah, I'm for humanity, I want to save myself and everybody else, why don't you learn the right elements to apply to the body where the outcome actually is indefinite life? Not like, oh yeah, I'm going to try to prolong your life for 5 hours or 5 years, where death is going to be an outcome no matter what. But why don't you say, hey, you know what? People shouldn't die. What do we need to do to get to where we can have people indefinitely living? And if you're not coming from that point of view, you'll be part of the hypocrites in our society that are contributing to the degradation of our society. And you'll be one of them that are going to be not the 500 million on the Georgia Guidestones. You'll be the 6,500,000,000 that are going to perish. Thanks, Michael Savage. And this is for all you holistic people that are watching me right now, that you're okay with people dying in your world. You're like, oh, it's okay. They'll go off into the ether and their spirit will soar around and I'll meet you on the other side. And that's your justification of why you rather be lazy and apply the protocols and greedy and selling your MLMs and all of your detoxes and selling your seminars. Oh yeah, I have the answer to immortality as you are aging and degrading and balding. I'm seeing through the hypocrisy and I don't buy it. So that's why I do what I do, is because I have to laugh at the hypocrisy. Because it comes down to life and death. And if you believe that people should die, then why the hell are you in the health and wellness industry? Why are you a holistic person? Because you ain't. Okay? So if you're going to be for death, then don't bother saying that you're for life, for yourself as well as for humanity. You want to save the earth, but you're okay people dying. That, to me, no, that's hypocritical. And then loving reproduction. You know, with reproduction, there's death somewhere. Because people who reproduce, the body is triggering this stuff, and the person having a baby is now become weaker. The baby is weak. Okay, and now it needs to adapt to a society such as this that's so aggressive at this point. You know, 7 billion people mutating diseases. Yeah, we're going to see something in the future. I mean, maybe the Olympics back in 2012 was an indicator when they were having all those little spores, the yellow balls that were bouncing around, and they had the big, what is it, the national healthcare, whatever, representation of the baby ward with the hospital beds and all these babies and the big devil that was like looking down. I remember that I was focusing on that back in my conspiracy days, but maybe they knew. Who is RC, whatever his name is? I don't know. Is it RC Washington, RC Whiting, Georgia Guidestones? Who is it? Shit. I think they took it down too. People who are against the Georgia Guidestones are going to be part of that depopulation agenda because they don't see it for what it really is. What is this guy's name? RC Christian. Yeah, RC, or is it RC Christian? What is it? Oh yeah, Robert C. Christian. RC Christian. In June of 1979, a man using the pseudonym Robert C. Christian approached the Elberton Granite Finishing Company on behalf of a small group of loyal Americans. Who are these people? And commissioned the structure. So what is the structure? I'll tell you in a minute. Christian explained that the stones would function as a compass, a calendar, and a clock, and should be capable of withstanding catastrophic events. Joe Fenley of Elberton Granite assumed that Christian was a nut and attempted to discourage him by giving a quote several times higher than any project the company had taken. So they were going to gouge him to dissuade him from doing this. Explaining that the Guidestones would require additional tools and consultants. Christian accepted the quote. When arranging payment, Christian explained that he represented a group which had been planning the Guidestones for 20 years and which intended to remain anonymous. Now, this is where all the conspiracy theories came from. Christian delivered a scale model of the Guidestones and 10 pages of specifications. The 5-acre land was apparently purchased by Christian on October 1st, 1979. Ooh, that's coming up quick. From farm owner Wayne Mullinex, and his children were given lifetime cattle grazing rights on the Guidestone site. The monument was unveiled on March 22nd, 1980, before an audience variously described as 100 or 400 people. Christian later transferred ownership of the land and Guidestones to Elbert County. In 2008, now this is where all the conspiracy theories came. This is interesting. In 2008, the stones were defaced with polyurethane paint and graffiti with slogans such as "Death to the New World Order." Wired Magazine called the defacement the first serious act of vandalism in the Guidestones history. In September 2014, an employee of the Elbert County Maintenance Department contacted the Federal Bureau of Investigation when the stones were vandalized with graffiti, including the phrase, "I am Isis, goddess of love." Okay, so, but now that I'm doing the J Juice and I'm doing all this research and I'm seeing exactly the patterns in our society, and I'm looking at what happened in the bubonic plague days of the, it was 1/3 of the nation, 75 to 200 million people perished from the bubonic plague, which then triggered the vaccine industry. So they didn't have that kind of decimation. And then biotech came in and figured out ways to manipulate the body to prolong life when people probably should have died when they first contracted cancer or disease, because that's how Mother Nature keeps the balance. But no, God or man had to play God, but then Mother Nature does eventually keep the balance. And then when people are reproducing on bodies that are highly traumatized, not fixing those weaknesses, each generation becomes weaker and weaker, and then they will perish in the environment such as Earth, because viruses have never left. Viruses have been around since the beginning of mankind. However, mankind was able to adapt, and people that were weak died. They didn't reproduce, they died. So the people who reproduced way back when were the strong people. But why we have such a weak society full of cancer disease and chronic illness is we allowed people who are weak to reproduce. And that's not anything that's blasphemous. That's just the truth. Okay, and then, yeah, we have then people like Hitler that were trying to get rid of all the weak people, and that's horrible. Yes, it is horrible. That's genocide. I mean, we don't like that. If we're going to bring a life into this world, we have to then go and foster it and do what we can to keep it alive. But then when we have people reproducing on those types of bodies, that's when you start seeing the glitching, the sociopaths, the psychopaths that act like glitches in the body. When they're glitching on Earth, they got glitches in the body. It's just their internal universe being now projected out. And that's what you're seeing in Greta Thunberg, in people who hate her as well as love her. Okay, now I don't hate her. I'm just like showing that this is exploitation of children, especially if you're against that, but yet you support this. I'm just showing the hypocrisies. I don't hate her. I just feel bad for her. Because, yeah, she's going to turn into someone who's a bully. And that's where all the bullies in our society come from, is from bodies that haven't fully healed from the traumas of the past. Okay, so there is definitely a balance to Mother Nature. And if we don't recognize that everything is connected, yeah, but then the Georgia Guidestones knew this already. They already did the people that created the Georgia Guidestones were probably those behind all of the PubMed articles that I'm substantiating all my stuff from. Because if I can figure out this pattern, they already figured out. And then guess what? It's already there. And I'll read them to you. Hold on, I got to read them to you. Okay? So you understand what they are, for those that don't know what they are. Maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. 500 million people who are strong, probably not reproducing because they're strong, or if they're reproducing, it's being guided very carefully. That child has every opportunity to be amazing, that it's not going to be abused or starved to death or anything like that. Number 2, guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. Well, yeah, when you have cell splitting that has so many traumas to that cell, you think that the clone of that person is going to come out the way we expect? No, that's why you see so many different personalities in people, because of the way the cells split and the traumas on the body. Unite humanity with a living new language. Well, I don't know what that is, but I'm sure that English seems to be the main language, though we don't want to discount, the different languages out there, but I mean, it depends on who's in charge. And right now it seems like England and America, the West, seems to be. So it looks like English is the living new language. Rule passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. Well, what is tempered? Now, I know I went over this before, but it's been a while since I actually looked up some of these words. Okay. treat so as to impart increased strength and the property of shattering into, okay. Treating as to impart increased strength. All right, so rule, passion, faith, and tradition. So you can be passionate, you can have your faith, whatever it is, doesn't matter. We're going to coexist. Tradition, okay, certain traditions, some traditions we probably need to take out, others, okay, fine. All things with increasing strength of reason. Reasoning, real logical reasoning has to be in play. And if you have malfunctions, that's why we have very messed up reasonings out there, okay? Protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. Well, that speaks for itself. Let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. That's what the UN is for. All right. Avoid petty laws and useless officials. That's right. Cut the fat. Get rid of middle management. Balance personal rights with social duties. Well, that makes sense. You have personal rights and then there's a social duty to your society. Okay. If you are pathogenic, then yeah, you know, you need to stay at home and be quarantined or get a vaccine if you're that weak and you will be communicable, you know, potentially strengthening some virus. Prize truth, beauty, and love, seeking harmony with the infinite. Well, holy shit, that's the whole point of J-Juice. Living indefinitely, infinitely. That's the whole thing with the whole 8 on the side, whatever. It's infinite. Prize truth, beauty, and love, seeking harmony with the infinite, and not just having your body go and your mind be, and your mind and body go, but your spirit floating around aimlessly looking for a physical body to inhabit. No, you have to have body, mind, and spirit harmoniously living infinitely. But now everybody can characterize all this stuff in different ways. But now I'm putting it in the context of the J-Juice. This is the best one. Be not a cancer on this earth. Leave room for nature. Leave room for nature. Be not a cancer on this earth. See, that's huge. Be not a cancer. So all of you have the potential to be not a cancer on this earth, but some of you choose to be a cancer because of the belief system that you hold and applying the wrong protocols to your body. And then guess what? You're going to contract cancer. You're going to contract disease. You're going to contract chronic illness. You're going to contract aging, of course. And then, yes, you're going to pass away. And that is the cancers in our society, those that believe in the death process. And so that's how they figured out that at some point there's going to be 500 million, because those that are on the death trajectory are going to succumb to some aggressive message in the universe. Okay? So your belief system and your lifestyle and what you apply to your body when it comes to cancer, disease, and chronic illness, okay, is indicative to how messed up or how balanced your body is, and then what you're exhibiting. Well, how would I say this? Because it's all like infinite, like, you know, those little, I forget those little thingies, but it's like, it's, you see the universe and the ether, and you're seeing like all the gases, and you see the Milky Way, that's like the amniotic fluid, and then the planets and the sun are then the, you know, the eggs and the sperm type of thing. And then the inhabitants on Earth are the same thing. It's like, it's just an infinite thing. And then when there is death and chaos and explosions, it's because laws that were applied for a specific outcome. So laws that were applied to the death process will have a death outcome. Laws that were applied to the life process will have a life outcome. And so those of you that have a belief system and applying the wrong methodologies on your body, you are subscribing to the apoptosis of the cells, or the systematic disassembling, no different than autophagy, okay? Or the body reabsorbing, or the earth reabsorbing cells or organs that are not being taken care of correctly. I mean, that's how the body is able to get rid of the weaknesses, is there's certain acids in the body that dissolve things that don't belong. Okay, Just like when you swallow, when you eat food, you have stomach acids that go and break the food down. Okay, so if you have cancer, disease, and chronic illness and you're aging, it's like a stomach acid breaking you down, having you be reabsorbed back in the earth. So once you understand your body, you understand now how and why in which our society is so messed up. Because we have so many people messed up and reproducing. And yeah, and there are some countries that are reproducing like crazy. And then you're seeing human trafficking, child trafficking, and all this stuff. But then people are, oh, I'm against child trafficking. But they keep reproducing babies that are exhibiting these characteristics that are going to be a victim or a predator because they haven't resolved their own issues generationally. And then, yeah, then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy and a loop until finally Mother Nature is going to cut down that generation or not that genetic line. So I don't know who these people, the Georgia Guidestones, but they were right fucking on. They were right on. And the New World Order isn't a bad thing. They knew what was going on. They already saw the patterns. And now we have, but it took all of us, all of our heads being put together to bounce all these ideas. Because imagine what it is that had them think this way. Where do they get that knowledge from? It took me 3 years to get to this point to figure out how freaking right on the Georgia Guidestones are. It took us 3 years to figure this out. It took them 20 years. They said they've been doing this for 20 years. What were they doing for 20 years? What were they examining the patterns like we were doing? But see, they didn't have the internet. We had the internet. You know how fast information flies back and forth on social media and the internet? It's like, that's why you see kids are developing so much faster. You can't tell how old they are. And then we have predators out there that are trying to target them. Okay, and parents are oblivious and whatever. And that's why we have all this crazy stuff. But back then they didn't have the internet. So all they're doing this. So they were going, and it'd probably be the Bilderberg. Maybe people are like against the Bilderberg, and maybe if you guys are conspiracy theorists know about Bilderberg and all the different heads of corporations and heads of titans of industry coming together and sharing information to figure out the patterns of our society and what they have to do to manage how out of control people are. So the whole thing with the Alex Jones, him highlighting Bilderberg, yeah, that's probably a huge think tank, but people who already have imbalances are going to characterize these think tanks as something nefarious because they already have cancer, disease, and chronic illness and want to blame someone for their condition. And who's a very appropriate, easy target? It's Bilderberg or any of these world leaders or any of these agencies like biotech that are trying, or CDC, trying to figure out how they can keep life going. But what's going on is Mother Nature is not going to allow man to play God for that long. Yeah, we can experiment on a short-term, like the thing with the stem cells. Somebody on my newsfeed was talking about stem cells and how like, oh, they can't wait. And there's this article that's been passed around for years about, oh yeah, the first stem cell put into someone who had movement, who was paralyzed and stuff. And I'm like, have they followed that same human to see if that stem cell allowed them movement like 5 or 10 years later? Or did the body finally say, hey, you got to adapt or get the hell out? Because when you have an environment that created the conditions for you to have stem cells, you think that it's not going to make that stem cell, assimilate or get kicked out? I mean, that's the different people in my group. If you're going to be a troll in my group, either assimilate and shut up, okay, and share the right way, or you get out. Well, that's no different than we take a stem cell, a good cell, put it in a body, an environment that's polluted. It's going to have an upset of homeostasis for a minute. It's going to create arguments and create all this stuff. The person's like, oh yeah, I got my motion back. And then, maybe 2 years, who knows, but depends on what immune suppressing drugs allows the body, where it shuts the body down and shuts everybody up to where that stem cell is able to do its job of giving you motion. But eventually the body is going to then say, hey, no, that cell is going to adapt to the conditions of the body at some point. Because that stem cell is a minority amongst the majority of cells that have already been programmed. Okay, but that's, so anyway, so yeah, all these temporary things out there. I don't know, I was going with there was something with that, but anyways, so yeah, so what was I saying about biotech and all these? Yeah, I mean, they had, yeah, I forget. But But anyways, but yeah, the Georgia Guidestones, they were right on. They were right freaking on, because Mother Nature does keep a balance. And then what is happening is, and people are reproducing, and then they're glitching and becoming sociopaths, and then certain people are fostering that. And yeah, so those that fall for the conspiracy community, the anti-conspiracy community, the allopathic, holistic, will then put themselves in the fold, and they'll take others with them. So yeah, all of you that are taking part in the activism with everything, all the activism with your holistic stuff and all of your anti-vax stuff, yeah, you could be doing J juice, but if you're putting all your energy in trying to, to scare people away from vaccines, especially if they're weak, and trying to create awareness around the new world order that you deem you're perceived as bad, you're not putting energy towards yourself. You keep giving away your energy and your minerals to people who are not giving it back to you. And yeah, you're probably not even doing the J juice at the level that you should. Some of you say, oh, I'm doing J juice, but no, I'm going to do this, 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 and this, and this. And then increasingly, the universe is becoming more and more aggressive, and you're not even up in the J juice. You're just being really conservative. You say, oh yeah, I'm doing J juice, but no, you're not seeing the healing that you should. And then guess what? A very aggressive bacteria is in the environment, and you haven't built up enough reserves to help you through that. And then you get an upset of homeostasis, and you're like, oh my God, what do I do, Jillian? I'm like, I don't know. You should have primed your body 3 years ago when you first started you were doing this. What the hell happened? Oh no, I wanted to go and work out and do this and do that and travel here and travel there and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay, well, there you go. That's the reason why J juice didn't work for you, because you took it for granted. Because you had to do your activism, because you had to go and fly around and be a hot shot all over the place. You had to go lift your weights and run your marathons, apply all these protocols and sell your seminars of immortality. And you haven't really put forth the effort to really remineralize your body, because I'm telling you, they know what's going on. I'm right there, just the whole thing with reproduction. And then we're seeing it already. And that's why we're seeing autism. That's why we're seeing Asperger's. That's why we're seeing exotic cancers. That's why we're seeing parents that are passing away and degrading from autoimmune disorders, from neurological disorders. When you're losing so much fat off your body, so then when an aggressive virus comes in your environment, you have no insurance, because fat is insurance for some people. When people have cancer and they go through chemotherapy, their big ass belly was their insurance policy to get them through. Oh no, but if you're like, 50 pounds, 60 pounds, 5'1.5", running and doing yoga, you think you're going to survive the next aggressive virus? No, honey, not going to happen. So, whatever. But yeah, the universe will keep the balance. And some of you will take people, some people are doing the J juice, and you're taking people down with you. That's why I'm like, I try to vet people out. So I know that you're in the holistic industry. I know you're in psychotherapy. I know you're in all these things and you're trying to promote all your different protocols and whatever, which I get. But I'm telling you, if you don't apply J juice, you don't know how aggressive some of these bacteria are. And especially if you don't even know to what extent you're minerally depleted. Okay? So, some of you are going to probably wait too late. And then you're like, oh, I wish I would have applied J juice a long time ago. Now I got to deal with this hemorrhagic fever. Because maybe the bubonic plague comes back into existence again. Because look at California. Okay? The amount of homeless and the anti-vaxxers, that's going to be one of the biggest places where disease is going to come from, is California. Thank God I got the hell out of there. California, I mean, even though, yeah, they are like, the titans or the pioneers of biotech and pioneers of social media and the internet. But they've become very big for their britches, and they need to apply something such as J juice so they can survive the next wave of evolution. Some people get too big and then they forget why they became big to begin with. And then they fall. The bigger you are, the harder you fall. So California has become big because of their pioneer, personality. But if you don't remember where you came from, then yeah, you're going to succumb with everybody else, because Mother Nature doesn't care if you're a CEO. Mother Nature doesn't care if you have $1 billion. Mother Nature doesn't care if you are emotionally crazy, or if you have Asperger's, or if you are like an activist. They don't care. It comes down to, do you have enough minerals to be able to survive the next evolution? If not, it doesn't matter what the hell you're backing. It won't matter what protocol you're promoting. It won't matter anything. That's what I'm saying. People who speak a lot, but they don't, but then their behaviors and their bodies and their minds and their spirits are not matching up. But they speak a lot. And I recognize those that speak a lot, but believe me, they're not, when it comes right down to it, they don't have enough minerals to negotiate the next evolution. So, it's more than just paying lip service to your belief system. So anyways, that's it. Remember, it all comes down to how many minerals do you have enough to handle the next wave? So some of you will have enough and you'll be fine. Others of you are going to have the hardest ass time because you're still anti-vax, you're still an activist, you're still all this stuff. So, J juice is the moment of truth. The J juice will not allow you to lie. The J juice will not allow you to lie to anybody. You can lie to yourself and everybody else around you, but you can't. J juice will hold you accountable. And the universe. So J juice will hold you accountable and the universe will hold you accountable. No matter what, Mother Nature will hold you accountable. So that's what's so interesting about J juice, is that no matter what, all the activists and the politics disappear. It's about remineralizing your body and adapting to your environment. Because people around you are going to do whatever they're going to do. I mean, when you have cancer in the body, okay, for those of you that need to understand this on a more of a micro level, when you have cancer in the body, your good cells have adapted to those bad cells. They figure out how to live symbiotically until those bad cells overtake. But the human may die. However, those good cells, well, those good cells will find then another body to inhabit. And I guess that's the spirit. So me being on this earth, amongst all these different cancers around me, I'm going to be that spirit that lives on. Even if I'm floating aimlessly in a world that's all messed up, I will still survive and live. So yeah, so that's why the soul never leaves the earth, is because those were the even though it's some negative energies, something like negative energy and positive energy, and then people are able to communicate with them, but it's still like a cell of sorts, because cells are energy. I mean, it may not have actual protein that you can feel, but when you actually they do have plasma. You can actually detect it on like EVP stuff and I don't know, screens and stuff. Ask Ghost Adventures, they have all that technology. But good cells do live on, even if it's not part of the body. But I'm going to be part of the body. I'm going to have all good cells, even on a cancerous earth. The earth isn't cancer, but the inhabitants that are glitching and playing the activist game, yeah, they're like a cancer because they're glitching. They're on their way out the door and they're going out with a bang. And then hopefully I'm going to, create more good cells to multiply and multiply and multiply and ignore all the cancers that are out there. Okay? Because it comes down to the micro. And then obviously the macro is the world that we live in. But your belief system needs to be modified so you can support what you're willing to go through when it comes to the healing process. Because healing is not fun. If you don't think that the body should live indefinitely, if you don't think and believe that people can live indefinitely, then you're not going to do anything to support. You will undermine yourself. And I have people that are like, oh, stick to the J juice, get out of the politics. Yeah. Bye. See you later. You ain't doing J juice, obviously, because you're so worried about George Soros. George Soros is not the problem. It's the fact that we have people who are mineral depleted, glitching on their way out the door are the problem. And it manifests in activism. I'm telling you, it does. You think I'm going to go out there on the street corner with a sign that says, do J juice, everybody do J juice? Oh, hell no. I'd be attracting parasites all over the place. You think I want to put myself in that position for parasites to go and suck the life out of me? Oh, hell no. I strategically find the people through a medium on the internet so they can read my thought process, my mind, and then they can figure out if it's something for them. And then they behaviorally change. So no, those that do the activist stuff and they go and picket and do critical mass and lay out in the middle of the street in San Francisco and all that stuff, yeah, they're part of the 6,500,000,000 that are going to perish when an aggressive virus comes into play because they haven't remineralized their body. And their parents keep procreating on bodies that are traumatized. It's happened interrelationally, and every single generation is weaker and weaker and weaker. And then we're creating sociopaths who are going to, predators and prey, you know, victims and predators are just as weak as each other. And they also are interchangeable. So those that are working with people who are victims, okay, and working with predators, you identify with both. Those that work in the industry of psychotherapy and all this stuff, and I know this personally, okay, can play both sides of the fence because you have a kindred spirit, you understand. Now, if you are healed, you're able to take that and understand that that's how you know and why you know, and you may have exhibit those qualities at some point in your life, and you've come to terms with that, and you've made your amends, and now you're trying to now help those in a different way. But that's what I'm saying. You guys have to understand why it is that you gravitate towards your professions, why it is that you are gravitating towards chaos and activism. You got to know why and come to terms with it and then get the hell out. Because sometimes when you are working with people who are majorly messed up, you then take on those characteristics because you're right there in it. Okay? But some of you, you're invested in that, and I get it. So I'm not trying to knock, say, okay, now you need to change your profession. No. But you have to understand the bigger picture and the susceptibility of falling into that reinforcement of weaknesses. And that's why I guess some psychologists have to go and talk to other psychologists to make sure that they're not emotionally involved with their patients, or if they have a conflict of interest. You know, so it's very interesting. So anyways, all right, I'm gonna go do my thing. I was up really early this morning because my husband had to be up really early this morning. So I don't know. But yeah, the bottom line is we are reproducing on bodies that are highly traumatized, and we're not guiding reproduction carefully. And we are applying the wrong protocols to our body that follows an outcome that we say we are not aligned with. So when you say, oh, I want to live, but you're applying immunotherapies and chemotherapies and cannabis and detoxes, then you are now a hypocrite. And so this whole transmission is pointing out the hypocrisy in our society and activism and in the medical holistic industry and in people who are doing J juice but are still in the activism. Okay? Because once you understand J juice, you'll take yourself out of the war. So hypocrisy is abound. But I know it's a transition for some of you, and that so some of you will milk that transition justification until an aggressive virus takes you out, and then I'll be like, yeah, I knew it. She said she was doing the J juice, but she couldn't even survive the Ebola virus that came through our town. What the hell? You had 3 years and you couldn't survive this aggressive virus? If I don't even get symptoms from being around my husband and the flu bug that he had last year, I'm going to be fine when the Ebola virus comes to my front door. And if they do have mandatory vaccines, I'll go and get them. And I'll do the J juice and I'm going to be fine. But some of you will not be able to handle the next wave of evolution. And so either you get on the J juice or yeah, you'll succumb like the rest. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Love y'all. Bye.